Hey there, Leo. Happy new moon in your own sign. How are you doing? This is actually, I think, the most special new moon you could have. The one in your own sign. This is amazing. This is a great start to this next 2-week forecast for you. So, what I'm going to be doing in this forecast is taking you from today's new moon in Leo right the way through to the next big lunation, which would be the full moon in Aquarius on the 9th of August. Now, there's a lot going on. We've got 2 planet changes. We've got Venus going into Cancer and Mars going into Libra. There's some very, very strong aspects to the Saturn and Neptune conjunction. And so what I want to do is really pace it out for you to give you a real sense of what's going on over the next 2 weeks, over this next 20 minutes or so, to really help you answer some of the bigger questions in life. Some of the questions that are coming up for me right now, and I'm asking every sign this, in fact, because to me, this is what this energy is all about. But what truth am I remembering beneath the noise? That's a real sort of key one to remember right now. You know, there's so much noise around us, whether it's in our daily lives or, just in life in the modern Western world. There's a lot of noise in the background. And, what is your truth that you can remember if you can blank out that noise? What part of me is returning stronger, softer, wiser? So, what part of you needs to come up right now? And also, where have I been hiding? And what happens when I stop hiding? To me, these are really essential questions because one of the key themes going forwards is about this kind of soul unmasking. There's a real sort of sense of inner renewal. And I think the light is being shone into different parts of our lives that have been in the dark, where we've been really unconscious. So yeah, this is a time to really sort of see ourselves fully. And what better position could we have for the new moon than in your first house in the sign of Leo? So yeah, big one. Now, if you're new here, hi, my name is Louisa Tanner Munson. Welcome to Feel Good Astrology. If you've come back for more, then thank you so much. I really appreciate your confidence in me. So let's get going. Just bringing up my slides now. And always, I like to just thank quickly everybody who supports this channel in all the different ways that you do, whether it's through membership or through donation. I just really find you very, very amazing. So thank you very much. Now, I'm going to start here just to sort of describe the energy of the moon, because when we've got a new moon to full moon, we're in the waxing moon phase. What that means is the moon is gradually getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Of course, it's not really getting bigger. It's just how it appears to us. We are coming back into the light. And so, at the time of the new moon, we are at the most darkest part of the moon phase. To me, this is a time when everything is clear, clean, blank. It's like this blank space. It's like you're, to me, I see it as, pulling something out of a magician's hat. This dark moon is the magician's hat. You don't know quite what potential is there, but you know that there's something new is about to come forwards. The new moon is traditionally used, or the new moon phase of, the moon cycle is traditionally used to strengthen your intentions and to get your intentions moving. And so what I recommend over the first couple of days of this cycle, whilst we're in this waxing crescent moon phase, is to consider what intentions you might want to bring forwards, in your life right now. In particular, things to do with your true identity, hearing your calling, to resist or let go of inhibitions, to step forwards, to commit to something in a really kind of sacred way, to really step into your power. I think all of those are really strong sort of energies right now. And then over the first couple of days, if you kind of feel into it, sort of imagine that you're getting your intention, imagine it's coming true, feel it and see how it feels in your body. What are you noticing about your body? What questions spring up? What ideas come forwards? What I usually notice as we go through this waxing moon phase, slowly but surely you start to get more clues. The more focused you are on what it is you're wanting to bring out into the world, into the light of day, the more little clues you get from songs on the radio at interesting times, through articles that people might send you, through conversations, through all sorts of different serendipity and synchronicities. So it's very, very helpful. And then midway through this 2-week period, we get to the first quarter, and you'll see there we've got half light and half dark. And to me, what this is meaning is, we're coming out of this kind of more restful, imaginary phase where we're really getting our own intel. We're really sort of intuitive and growing slowly through our own efforts. When we get to the first quarter, it feels like the world is starting to collaborate with us. And more of the world is coming in. And so to me, this is a gathering of tools, people, information, actions, and things start moving, and they carry on moving, and they move faster and faster as you get closer and closer to the full moon. And of course, the more on track you are with your alignment, the easier the full moon is. If you find your full moon is really chaotic and there's too much coming in your way, you might be like juggling too many things. And so when we look at it on a diary, I always find this helpful because I'm always in my diary, on my online diary, and looking at things. These three, and it literally is the new moon, the first quarter moon, and then the full moon. These are the three strongest days throughout this 2-week period. And the reason being is they're all on each of these days, there's something going on with Saturn and Neptune. There's some exact alignment with Saturn and Neptune. So for instance, the sun and the moon are working with Saturn and Neptune on the day of the new moon. There is this beautiful trine. It's really helping us to unravel whatever Saturn and Neptune means to you. And we'll explore that in just a second when I bring up your charts. But whatever it's meaning to you will have a real kind of shot in the arm. It's going to get really sort of, it's going to move forwards with some beautiful momentum. Then midway through this 2-week period, we've got a Venus square to Saturn and Neptune. And Venus-Saturn squares can often bring up self-doubt, a feeling of being undeserving, maybe not being open to receiving, where you give, but don't receive back. Obviously, that can cause problems for you. And it can also create a sense of disillusionment as well with Venus and Neptune in a square. And then on the 9th of August, we've got Mars making an exact opposition to Saturn and Neptune at the time of the full moon. Now, the full moons are full of, they are based on an opposition between the sun and the moon. This is a very, very strong full moon, I have to say. But this opposition is, I think, creating tension between your desire to act and act in a way that isn't supporting that Saturn and Neptune conjunction. Before I look at that, I just want to say we've also got this Venus in Cancer coming in on the 31st of July until the 1st of August, so that is moving across. And we've got Mercury Cazimi happening at that time. Now, Mercury Cazimi is a Sun and Mercury conjunction, an exact one. This time it's Mercury retrograde. And so this is a very inward process. And this can bring up a beautiful natural sense of genius, in fact. Now, this Mercury Cazimi is happening in, again, your first house in the sign of Leo. So this is a very, very important stage in this week ahead, 2 weeks ahead. But anyway, let's have a look now. I just need to... Okay, so let's have a look now then. So we've got, you can see here the new moon chart. You've got the new moon in the sign of Leo in the first house. You can see Mercury retrograde here. And you can see the new moon is in exact opposition to Pluto in the 7th house. Now, it's important to notice we've got the 1st house and 7th house. They're always in a polarity. The 1st house is all about you, your identity, your appearance, your sort of core personality, very much about how your body works, and a lot about your vitality as well. This over here is everything that's not you. And so it includes your partner, absolutely, and the kinds of people that you attract in. Also, the enemies that you attract in. I mean, often there's a fine line between people who hate you and love you. And isn't it funny or kind of sad, actually, how we can be passionately in love with somebody, and then at some point, all of a sudden, it turns just like that, or it can do. What I really get here is this 7th house shows where we might be attached to people or attached to ideas about people. This is also a massive projection screen as well. But we've got this sort of opposition dynamic with Pluto on the new moon. And then if I go to the full moon chart, you'll see that's replaced by Mercury retrograde in an opposition to Pluto. And we still have an opposition between the sun, this time to the moon, across this first and seventh house. So it's obvious the first and seventh houses are really, really important in this forecast, this upcoming 2-week period. So the focus is around your relationship with self and your relationship with others, most notably your partner, if you have a partner. And if you don't have a partner, this could be your best friend. It could be the kinds of people you pull in to your world. It might also be what you're projecting onto the world. So this is absolutely about how you're seeing yourself and also the projections you're making about other people, possibly also the ones they're making onto you too. So it really is a bit of a seesaw. You'll also see, and it's more important actually to focus more on the full moon in Aquarius, because I've already done from the last 2 weeks ending up on this new moon in Leo. So you've already got a lot of information about that. And also I did do a separate video just about the new moon in Leo, which you might already have watched. But at the time of the full moon, you've also got this, well, it's actually 2 oppositions. You can't see it's 2, but it's Mars in exact opposition to Saturn, and then later on in the day in an exact opposition to Neptune. So we've got these 2 oppositions, and this is going across your 3rd and your 9th house. So the 3rd and the 9th house, the 3rd house is very much about your feeling of belonging in the local sort of community space. And then this 9th house up here, you know, where Saturn and Neptune are, is a place of expansion, a place of additional knowledge, additional understandings. This is a place of higher context. You know, this is a place where we go to have high thoughts and consider life from a whole new perspective. It's also far away. It's in a different country, possibly, with people with a different culture, different language. To me, this is everything that you're not. So in the way that this is you and this is everything that's not you, you could say this is local and this is everything that's not local. This is known, this is unknown. And so, yes, I guess you know yourself probably very, very well. And your partners may also seem very unknown and a little bit foreign. So it's an interesting way of thinking about this. Now, if we go back to the new moon, I do want to start off, you know, with another sort of comment about Saturn and Neptune. So Saturn and Neptune are obviously quite critical in this particular forecast, because they are making connections to planets at the time of the new moon, at the time of the first quarter, and also at the time of the full moon. Now, this first one that's getting off to a good start, you'll see Saturn and Neptune. They're in a conjunction in the sign of Aries in your 9th house. So Saturn is about grounding energy. It's also about responsibility, getting older. It's also about laying down a structure and building something. It's highly ambitious, high task. It involves a lot of diligence, a lot of dedication, a lot of discernment. Saturn really shows us where we're investing and committing to something. And in the 9th house, you know, we could get very serious about a new way of thinking, about a new way we see life. You know, this represents what we know, but you might become aware that there's a lot that you don't yet know. And so Saturn here could be showing you that there's lots you don't know and encouraging you to study more, to get involved more, possibly to get involved in politics or philosophy or anything that's of interest, anything that you can assimilate and then later teach. This is definitely a place of higher teaching as well as higher learning. It's also a place of broadcasting and sharing and writing, absolutely one of writing. Also law. So there's a lot of sort of highbrow. You know, this is about the information, and this is about the context. So at the time of the new moon, whatever ideals and new starts you're bringing in for yourself, what I really get there is if you're setting a new context for yourself, a new context that is slightly more mysterious, slightly more ethereal. And I said that because I didn't describe Neptune here, but Neptune is a planet to do with spiritual changes. He's highly idealistic, very, very intuitive, absolutely about oneness and connection at its highest expression. You know, Neptune can take us into a place of transcendence, without a doubt. And yet Saturn is kind of grounding it a little bit so you don't just fly off. I mean, Neptune on his own here could have you going on some kind of faraway travels with no structure, no intention, no plans, no outcomes, no nothing, just kind of wandering from place to place and sort of going where the vibe takes you. Saturn coming in right at the beginning, I think, is going to get your Neptune journey in the ninth off to a really good start, because Neptune's going to be here for a really long time, whereas Saturn's just here for like 2.5 years. So Saturn, I think, is going to help you explore the unknown in a spiritual, but also in a grounded way, helping you to manifest and work with the heavenly energies, but in a really real and understood way. So if you've got this kind of context in your life right now, and you're ready for this sense of a new beginning for yourself, if you're sort of unmasking yourself to reveal this soul who is yearning for a much greater context in life, or a travel, or a deeper learning, then this is a perfect time for you. Really, really, truly. It's really good. Now, the midpoint on the 1st of August, I don't actually have the chart for this, but if you can see, Venus is here at the start in the sign of Gemini. And at the end, at the time of the full moon, Venus has moved over here. So at the first, Venus is just into the sign of Cancer, just gone into your 12th house. So 12th house is a place of, I would say, secrets. Not necessarily because you're keeping secrets, but just because you might not realize that there's something going on for yourself. You might not be aware of your secrets. This is like unconscious. This is a place of our programming, our insecurities, our fears, also every memory we've ever had, all the sort of clairs, like the clairaudience, sentience, clairvoyance, etc. All of our intuitive capabilities it's all stored here. And so Venus coming in here shows possibly a time of retiring a little bit, and reflecting and being gentle with yourself, not pushing yourself at all. It could really represent a sense of magic and intimacy, which I think is great. But around the 1st of August, Venus is going to be here, and she's going to be in a square with Neptune and also Saturn. Here, what I really get is that there is, I really get that there is this sense of in this square, this loneliness, this sense of I'm on my own, this sense of why is there nobody on this journey with me? Why isn't there somebody who understands my yearning for more? Why isn't there somebody who understands my relationship with the world in the same way? So I feel like you almost feel like an oddity at the moment of the 1st of August, almost as if you were born, you've been alone, you've had to make your own context. To me, this is a feeling of kind of loneliness, but also like a self-fulfilling, maybe I'm not good enough kind of energy. What I really would love for you to kind of know and understand at this point is the journey that you're on right now with Saturn and Neptune up here can be so revelatory that not everyone can keep up. Not everyone is doing this at the same pace as you are. And right now it feels like you're taking heaven by storm, not because you're doing anything necessarily deliberately to take heaven by storm, but with Pluto in the 7th house, it brings in very sort of strong experiences and strong people and strong bits of intel. With Jupiter going through your 12th right now, that's absolutely enhancing your intuition. And so you may well have led yourself off into a place much faster than the people around you can catch up. And so if you're able to just sort of hold your disappointment in life, and sort of hold it in check a little bit around the 1st, if that's possible, if you're able to get peace from the fact that people will catch up with you, people will join you, and anyone worth a salt will kind of raise into your vibration, or you might be raising into somebody else's vibration. To me, this is a vibrational issue, that you're going through some big changes in how you see the world. And because of these changes, some people are on board with them and some people aren't. Some people get it, some people don't. This is completely vibrational. My experience of going through vibrational shifts in consciousness is that, and I don't have loads of experience with it, but I've definitely massively changed the way I've been thinking over the last probably 18 years or so. It's really shifted. My understanding is the more you're trying to push people to come on board, the more resistant they are. So that's another reason why it might feel a bit lonely. But if you're able to connect into the God part of this, or the spirit part of this, or the life part of this, if you can feel the connection to nature and feel connection to all the little patterns that you see sort of collaborating with you, I think that would be really, really helpful. That might help you not feel so disconnected. So if you're feeling disconnected from humans, just know that you can be connected all the time to spirit around you. And then as we're coming up to the full moon in Aquarius, whoops, I was already there. You'll see here that Venus is coming into this conjunction with Jupiter in the 12th house. To me, that's I think an indication that you're coming to terms with your intuition and the changes that you're going through. So if I was to come back to the original questions, like what truth am I remembering beneath the noise? I would say that you're a spiritual being. This beautiful Venus and Jupiter conjunction in the sign of Cancer in your 12th house is actually, I think, reminding you that as difficult and dark as the world might seem, there is this sense of inner faith that you have. And this is reigniting that part of your faith. This is reminding you that there are some really, really great things about being alive here that maybe we haven't connected into for a while, but there's some real amazing things. And actually, there's actually more amazing things than there are really awful things. It's just we don't get to see it. We don't get to hear about it. Good news isn't shared as far as bad news is, and sarcasm. The truth that you're remembering beneath the noise. The North Node is also in the 8th house. It's really reminding you of your sort of sacred inheritance. Maybe you've got this kind of tendency from somebody in your family. Maybe there is an intuitive, an empath, a way shower, something like that. But to me, it's almost like you were born into realizing the things that you're realizing right now. In terms of what part of me is returning stronger, softer, wiser, I think, and this might seem a bit controversial, I think Pluto coming into your 7th is helping you return. I know it doesn't sound like it, because like Pluto in the 7th often brings us very, very strong people into our lives, and very strong experiences, and possibly that you have to be strong to help the people around you. But it also, I think whatever is going on here is showing us who we really are. What we're able to see in other people is just what we can't always accept in ourselves. And I think here, the part of you that is returning is that strength, you knowing how strong you are, and accepting it. And then in that sort of like innate knowing, I am strong, I'm resourceful, and I'm powerful. Like when you're sat in your power, that power is going to come through, especially with this lovely intuition here, in a stronger, softer, wiser way. I love that. Where have I been hiding, and what happens when I stop? Well, I think Uranus is going to help you unhide very, very quickly, because Uranus in your 11th is, and also Pluto in your 7th is connecting you up with some high, powerful people, and people that maybe are a little bit more out there. It's going to give you a chance to be a lot more out there. And of course, Leo, Leo rising, anyone with a Leo ascendant has this kind of natural flair, but maybe you haven't been quite so flary enough. Maybe with Uranus in the 10th house, you've been more about creating freedom for yourself. So you haven't been tied down, that you could move around quite a lot. But actually now that Uranus is coming into the 11th house, I think your ability to match make and kind of match people and resources to situations, and to introduce people. I really think the thing that you've been hiding from yourself is just how powerful a connector you are. And I think as you start to come into the connection again, as you stop hiding that, your sense of being a powerful connector is going to lead you really to so many amazing places. Now, this forecast has also been recorded in terms of romance and also money. And I'm giving you a little free excerpt of it in just a second. So if you keep watching and click on this video, you'll go straight there. Have fun. Bye for now.